So we're just now wrapping up for the symposium, or day 2. And so we're really focused on the highlights from today and those next steps. So Roger, I'll turn it over to you to talk about the next steps and where we go from here.
Sounds good, Julie. Well, as Julie mentioned, I mean, first of all, I want to just, in case I don't get a chance to say this towards the end here, how impressed and appreciative I am, and I'm sure others are, of the presentations and the discussion that we've all witnessed today. There's so much information has been shared and discussed, and both this day 2 and the day 1 session, and these are being recorded, and so we do have plans to make these discussions available in the future for all of our listening pleasure. I know I need to go back and listen to some of the different segments where I wasn't able to focus as much as I'd like to with some of the multitasking that I've been doing. But again, really appreciate all the participation and help pulling this off. What you're seeing before you there is at least kind of my simple list of steps that we have moving forward with this gaps analysis that we've all been helping with. And I've attempted to establish sort of a gauge, if you will, about how far along we are in these different steps. This is a kind of an RPM gauge, revolutions per minute, that you would typically see on a car. Perhaps maybe there will be a fun future exercise we can go into to identify what RPM stands for developing the tools in the context of the time frame moving forward. I know it's not minutes, but maybe it's refinements per month or something like that, but we can talk about that. But these the inventory that we've gone through in recent months has been really helpful to get us to this discussion today. We identified some 30+ tools and collected information on those from all of you, including, really appreciate you summarizing your information in abstracts, which we'll make available to this symposium participant list, as well as just the other documentation and support that is behind all of these tools. We focused on increasing the awareness of the decision support tools, and with that reached out to all of the decision makers and principal users of these tools to make sure that we are engaging in that entire group appropriately. So I see that we have great representation across all the different agencies that are a part of the reservoir operations in the Yuba and River and Feather River watersheds. So here again, I think have we increased all of the awareness we wanted to? I think we're partway through that effort, but we certainly know this is a kind of a proactive step and maybe interim step, and there's more probably to continue to learn about and discuss moving forward. So we appreciate the fact that these are complex subjects, and there will probably be further discussions in various forums. And I think, with kind of the day 1 exercise in particular, we learn more about how the operators of these watersheds, of the reservoirs in these watersheds, rely upon these tools, how they have used these tools in the past, and perhaps what might be needed in the future as we continue down this path of developing FIRO and implementing FIRO, both in the context of the operations and also with regards to updating the water control manuals, which is going on in parallel. So we still have more to learn there, but feel like we've made some good progress. And then, identifying the gaps and, where the operator's needs are not met. I think Rob Hartman, if I can call him out, yesterday raised some really interesting questions about what operator decisions might be, and the questions that we face in terms of understanding how decisions could be facilitated through the use of these and other tools moving forward, and kind of the importance of the research and operations path that are going on in parallel, and how they relate to the interaction of developing these tools and using these tools. And so hopefully this step here today has helped bridge those two paths to some degree, and revealed some of the gaps where there is more information needed. And so we'll be taking that moving forward. I put the gauge further in the kind of left side here of progress, because there's more to be done, but hopefully we've inched that needle forward a bit. And then in terms of kind of taking all this information and distilling it down into at least a workable plan that can hopefully help this entire group take some action and steps, which obviously there's lots of action and steps already being taken, but to the degree we can help facilitate as a working group, the decision support tools working group, facilitate bringing all this information together and potentially identifying the priorities and recommendations for moving forward with determining viability of FIRO in these two watersheds. So perhaps that may take the form of some sort of identifying criteria that can help us sort through all these different needs. What is important to each group of decision makers, depending upon what their responsibilities are, whether it's the Corps' responsibility, or YWA, or State Water Project, or Weather Service, et cetera. So be thinking about that as well, and be looking for your insights and input on developing that plan. And then ultimately, one of our responsibilities as a working group is to inform the PVA, the preliminary viability assessment, with the opportunities and recommendations for developing these enhanced decision support tools. So that certainly will be something that we're paying attention to moving forward as well. So I'm happy to take any questions about kind of these next steps or suggestions for what we're doing moving forward. We can take that now, or other thoughts people have. And of course, we can always discuss some of these things offline. But looking ahead, the DST work group, as one of the co-leads and all the members that are part of that group, many of which are on this call today, we look forward to the challenge of helping with these next steps.
Great. Thanks, Roger, for giving us that path forward and what's coming next. And so before I turn it over to those making the closing remarks, I just wanted to make sure to thank all of our presenters and also the leaders of the decision support team. So Roger, Chris, and Kale, for all their efforts in putting together this symposium. So thank you so much for all of your work in doing this. And we will close today with some closing remarks from Tracy, Jenny, and Kale. So Tracy, do you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Hey y'all. Yeah. So it's been, I think this symposium has brought a lot of key players into the whole, all on the same page, going through the existing tools, going through what the different projects have in place, and what, by going through this workshop, also recognizing maybe some tool improvements that they may have to do, but then how all this may feed into, or will feed into, the FIRO process. It's also very interesting to learn about the atmospheric river, the weather tools, the hydrologic tools, the S2S tools, and then how to integrate that furthermore into the existing tools, and then also into the FIRO process. So I too appreciate all the speakers. I personally have learned a lot, and I'm hoping that the gaps that have been realized as it feeds into the PVA and how that can help refine FIRO, I think is very important. So that's all I have to say.
Great, thanks, Tracy. Jenny?
Wonderful. Thanks, y'all. These past 2 days really have been great because, one of the things is like, if you want to, I'm trying with my sports analogies, but if you want to finish the race, you got to know where you're currently at. So like, we spent a lot of day one talking about the current tools we use. And, we may or may not have talked about like where we could see benefits from having additional data or where the tools could be improved there. But then today we spent a lot of time talking about like what's out there regarding any forecast information, which is super important. And I appreciate, as a water manager, y'all asking us like, what do you want? And like, of course, we're going to say we want everything and we want it now. But the fact that we're having those conversations is really the key to moving forward, to getting the best out of forecasts, the best out of, water control plans, new operations plans. And like, honestly, like, yes, we're scientists and engineers, but at the end of the day, we're also relationship building. And that's really the key to it, because it's like, we trust each other because we have built the foundations of our relationships. And now I'm getting all lovey-dovey, but I think that's really important too. So I really enjoyed these past 2 days. Just like Roger, I need to probably go back and watch the videos again. But I'm really excited about the direction that we're heading. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Kale, is there anything you'd like to say too?
Yeah, after Tracy and Jenny, I really don't have much to add, but I will say on behalf of the leads for the DST group, I want to extend my sincerest thanks and appreciation to everybody who made this successful, from the presentations to the moderators, to you, Julie, and Arlene for facilitating the 2 days. Chad handling the Mentimeter, and Romy handling a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. It's very successful and useful. Kind of my takeaway for this day is there's a lot of great information, and there's a lot of research and improvements out there, and it's a good problem to have on how to bring all this together as useful information for forecasters and for reservoir operators making decisions. So it's exciting times going forward. So interested to see what we come up with in the future.
Great, thank you. And so I'll just say one last thank you for everyone for joining these past 2 days. And I think we can go ahead and wrap up our symposium. So thanks again, everyone.